Have you ever gone to bed with people screaming on your head? Or wake up with people shouting and hitting each other at home? That's the case in so many homes out here in Africa, with over 30% of African women suffering from domestic violence and over 10% of African men suffering from domestic violence. Today, our topic is about domestic violence, and I have with me wonderful guests in the studio. Let's know them.
Hello, beautiful people. My name is Poet Noa Inkman. I am a poet, a spoken word artist, and an unpublished author, co-founder of Stagelife, and a poetry dramatist. I'm happy to be here with you all today on this wonderful topic of discussion. I hope I'll be able to give you my own side of the story. Just watch out as we go about the conversation.
My name is Baliki Marie Eta. On social media platforms, I go as Bmar Eta. I am a journalist with Beyond 237 Borders. I'm a poet, a spoken word artist, and today I am gracefully here to talk to you all about domestic violence and how it affects the society as a whole.
Welcome on the show, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, they say ladies before gentlemen. We know the topic. It's about domestic violence. Any particular case you've noticed?
Thank you very much for the question. Actually, domestic violence, I have come across it. I have experienced it as a child growing up in one place or the other, one time or another. And we cannot go about talking about incidents when we don't know what it is. Domestic violence is any form of injustice, I would say, that is rendered upon a vulnerable person, that is irrespective of your age, irrespective of your race, your socioeconomic standards, your political status, irrespective of your race. Domestic violence is experienced globally. And we use the word domestic to establish a relationship that is between the person that is feeling this pain and the person that is causing this pain. So usually we would say domestic violence in the family, in some sort of relationship, if you want to put it that way. And yes, it is actually a very painful thing because there are a lot of dangers that are associated with it. And for people who are timid, for people who cannot speak up, they grow up and it's a whole issue. You cannot socialize, you cannot talk to people, you cannot even go for a job interview to answer a simple question. So it's not just an effect that is at that point in time when the injustice is happening, but it has long-term effects, and it's a good thing to talk about it and raise awareness about the situation.
Okay. The gentleman himself.
The lion himself.
The lion.
Okay. Like I said, this is a very interesting topic. And I feel like sometimes it's either under-talked or mal-talked. Not like over-talked. It's not talked about correctly. Domestic violence is multifaceted as the whole idea of domestic violence is concerned. It has to do with, it can be religion, can be emotional, it can be psychosocial, it can be physical. And with the physical violence, you can talk about things like assault and battery. Battery is actually physical force, which causes maybe bodily harm to somebody. Psychological, emotional can be something, maybe it causes you psychiatric injury. It might say something which can tamper on someone's emotions. Yes. So the emotional violence goes with the verbal violence. Yes. Because what you say is capable of putting someone in a state of psychiatric injury. Yes, like nervous harm, depression, all these kind of things. So people tend to under-talk about it. But whenever they talk about domestic violence, the core is always the man and the woman. That's always the idea. That's the focal point.
Forgetting about it.
They forget about the whole family in general. They forget to talk about the lay worker and the employee. They forget to talk about the Christian and the pastor. They forget to talk about a lot of things. So I think it's a very, very important topic. If we talk about it here amicably, it can go a long way to reshape the narrative and the understanding of this particular topic.
That brings me to my next question. What's the root of all this? Because I believe every problem has a root. There must be a point in our social life where we got to this level without even knowing. This time I'll start with gentlemen. What do you think is the root of all this?
Okay, the root of all this is the issue of superiority. In fact, there might be other subsidiary answers. So there might be other subsidiary, not like subsidiary, there might be other remote causes of this. But the base of this particular thing is the superiority complex. One person feels he's bigger, another person thinks he can intimidate. One person thinks he can impose, and then he feels like another person has to be subordinated to him or her. Look at it from Christendom. From the preacher trying to relegate you, a preacher might try to ostracize a Christian maybe because that Christian refuses to adhere to a particular norm, refuses to adhere to a particular belief. Okay, look at the family. A man feels he's super superior to the woman. So he feels like the woman has to be bound by what he thinks is right. That's why the economic violence also comes into this domestic violence. Mm-hmm. The man wants to control the finances of the woman too. Because he feels that, okay, I'm the head of the family. So this male chauvinism comes into play, where the man feels he's superior. Every angle you look at it, from the employer's employee, the boss over... Okay, it's normal for the boss to be the boss. Mm-hmm. The boss is the boss. He's always the boss, yeah. But the boss overbosses himself sometimes. Definitely. You think your employee is supposed to be too subordinated to you.
Like a slave.
Yes, a slave. It's okay. There are levels to this. You can subordinate to somebody, but there's a way if you overdo it, mm-hmm. or if you underdo it, there's a way it turns you into a slave or a puppet. Yeah. Or puppet. Yes. So that's violence automatically. That mindset, that's the stereotype. Yeah. Right? So whatever angle you want to look at it, that is the first step. That's the stereotype. We want to erase stereotype. I think every other thing will be trashed. Yeah.
The lady this time around.
Well, actually, I agree with him because there is this expectation of power and control, this mindset that people have, like he was explaining. You see, in our general society, in everything that we come across, there's always somebody who knows more than another person. So there is actually no problem with you being at the top and another person being down there. Exactly. There is an issue with how you carry yourself. So power is not a problem. It is a person that has this power that is the problem. You understand? So another person feels like he can intimidate you financially, emotionally. The fact that I'm bigger than you, I can just say whatever it is I want to say because I feel like you are dependent on me. I remember some time ago, I was working for a certain guy and he told me that we are actually dependent on him. Like if he doesn't pay us, we are not going to eat, we are not going to go to school. So that alone is violence. We are working together to ensure that this business grows, but it is not an opportunity for you to deprive me of my rights. It is not an opportunity for you to depress me. It is not an opportunity for you to exploit from me. Because in as much as a person has power, he can use that power to not only cause violence, but also exploit from a person. You can exploit from me mentally because, you know, when you say a word to a person, right, that person can use time to think about it. And when you are using that time to think about a word, you are feeding it and it takes over your mind. And trust me, a dead mind is a dead mind, rather. It's a dead man. Exactly. Yes. So these are the things that many people do not consider when they are going around bossing people, which is actually a very big issue in the society.
Okay. Another big question. We talk about domestic violence in all cases. We've talked about it in the office, the workplace, at home. Between a man and a woman, who suffers more?
Should I go first?
I want her to go first.
Okay.
Well, all right. I'll say from experience, the woman suffers more. The man suffers, okay, I'll rate it on 10. So the woman suffers like 8 on 10, and the man can suffer for like 4, 6 on 10. But it's always higher for the women, from my experiences. Now, the woman suffers more first is because there's this mentality that men are the strongest in the society, like women are the weaker version. So that already gives a man an opportunity to do whatever it is he wants to do to a woman, especially if the woman is not educated, you are not empowered in any way, you don't have, maybe you're totally dependent on a man. Like if they are married, for example, let's bring it down to a legal status. They are married and then this woman is not working. She has to depend on her husband for every single thing, maybe even to get pad for herself, no body lotion, to do her hair, which is actually not very good. I would not advise any woman listening to me out there to be completely dependent on a man or whosoever. You should have a source of income to take care of yourself. and also contribute to the family. Because that is one of the reasons why men take it as an opportunity to insult you. And not only end there, some of these men extend it to your family. I've seen cases where a man insults his woman and extends it to the family and talks of how in your family they cannot afford this, they cannot do this, if not for me. You understand? It is not good. So the women suffer a lot, especially when it has to do with verbal violence. When it has to do with verbal violence, and then it has to go to now beating them, they suffer a lot. Not all women are strong. Not all of them can fight back, talk back at a man. Not all of them have that courage. So they just take all of these things in, then they go look for a place and then they cry. Some of them who can speak out, they insult their husband. At the end of the day, they are feeling guilty. So it's a whole lot for women to deal with. Nonetheless, men also suffer from this issue. So we should not just be like, no, women. We actually talk about the women more in the society than we talk about the men. We've spoken about, women get raped, women this, women that, men actually get raped as well. Men do get raped. That's violence on them. Yeah. So they also suffer from domestic violence because they are women who are very disrespectful. You do not respect your man and you expect him to be smiling when you are asking him for something. It doesn't work like that. It's basically communication in a relationship. So if you don't respect him, you treat him anyhow you want to do. That's violence on the man. The man can just decide to be quiet because, some men don't like talking, so they just want to keep that space because they feel like if I want to engage in a conversation with this woman, I could end up using my hand on this woman, and that alone could go far and tarnish my image and all of that. So men just stay in and keep it in, and before you know it, they are drinking late nights and all of those things start coming in, and the woman is adding the pressure to them.
Wow. She said a lot. Let's hear what our gentleman has to say.
Okay, so I don't know. I don't know if I will want to go in line with what she said, because she said a lot of things that I will normally want to connect with. But when she did the rating, I was upset when she said the woman is
8 over 10 because she did a scale of 10 and
so,
then the men are
well, I would not want to do that. I would say it's a 50-50 something. I like the way she reconciled it at the end. She did a reconciliation, putting a man to as a victim of domestic violence. Both men and women are victims of domestic violence, but people tend to undertalk that of the man.
Yeah.
They amplify the woman being violated because they think the woman is vulnerable.
Yes.
They don't know the power the woman carries.
I used to say women are very powerful.
Women,
right? If they let women be women,
yes,
I'm sure men will survive.
Women are so powerful that they can take your life in a split second.
Most of the great men in them.
Were
brought down by women.
See, well, they manage your kitchen.
Yeah, they do.
They manage to keep the house set. They manage to take care of the children and everything. Meaning they have a lot of control.
Yeah, they do.
Why do you say that vulnerable?
That's what people don't get.
So they don't understand the fact that men look strong from the outside, but they are not as strong as you think.
Yes.
Right.
So the whole issue of domestic violence is triggered from two different ends. Yes, of course, women are victims of domestic violence, but it's not. Let me say, it's not a 100% filter.
Yes.
Men too are victims of domestic violence in the case that they suffer more of emotional trauma.
Very correct.
Imagine coming back home to meet a talkative wife. From a very, imagine having a very hectic day at work. To come and meet a talkative. No, let me not say talkative. Talkative is actually meet a nagging, a troublesome woman. Yeah. A woman who will not be able to understand that you've had a stressful day. Even if you try to explain to her. Just think about it.
So she's selfish and self-centered.
So men go through a lot, and because of this, the stereotype that has been carved by the society, men tend not to complain that they are victims of domestic violence. It's even a shame.
Yeah,
if a man, imagine me coming at you say, bro, my wife is violating me. The first thing that the fellow man would do is laugh at the man.
Laugh.
So that's already a stigma. In the mind of the man, if you bring it to me, I'll laugh. I'll laugh.
Before even the advice is coming in, you will laugh.
It's a big problem. It's a very, very big problem. Women are good at amplifying it. Men don't talk too much.
Yeah.
Men keep it here. Men bottle up a lot. And I think it's a problem.
It is.
Yes.
Men don't cry. I think it's a problem.
Yes, and
Yeah.
sometimes when we take it until they should say we take it until you get here,
Yeah.
you have to vomit.
That's
Yeah.
when they explode and then
Yeah, so and our reactions are sometimes not the best.
very hostile.
Our reactions are some of the reasons why you're sitting here.
Yeah.
So we just established the fact that women and men do suffer from
Correct.
domestic violence.
Yes, they do.
See, that's settled.
Yeah,
It's
that's
settled. My next question. About the children.
I saw that coming. I don't know why,
Let's
but
go
I
with you.
So, actually, children are vulnerable. Children are vulnerable because, you know, they are children. They are young, they are weak. You can just shout at them, you can beat them, you can starve them, you can make them wear dirty clothes and all of that. Domestic violence shouldn't be termed as discipline. That's where many people go wrong.
Exactly.
Because you cannot be violent on a child for, okay, the child actually does something wrong. It is valid. Your reasons for wanting to discipline that child is valid. But now let's look at how much it affects them. Children suffer from domestic violence in a very wild range because it is more of an emotional something that starts growing as they grow. So shouting at a child, you need to know why you are shouting at the child, how you are shouting at the child, the tone you are using, the words you are using. Personally, verbal abuse was something that really dealt with me. I went through a lot because of it growing up. That was one of the things that I experienced. Even forget about the beatings. I did experience that. Let's keep that aside. Words was something that really dealt with me as a child. I used to tell people that if you want to kill me, use a word. If you want to also make me happy, use a word.
The words like a sword.
Yes, because as a child, the words that you tell, children's memories, they're actually very sharp. I tell a child something today and it takes some time, and before I know it, this child is reminding me of that thing, of how I said I was going to buy her bonbon, all of these things, so they can as well remember that.
Why?
This auntie.
All right, just jokes. Why is that children don't remember works given to them?
Works given to them, that's like
if they say go and do this, go and wash the plates, they won't remember.
It's not fun.
Yes, it's not fun to them because
But if they say all right, back to you.
actually, children have this very playful mindset, so they are easily distracted. Children are actually easily distracted, especially children who, I would say, much attention is not given to them to see the value of the duty or the urgency of what they need to do. So you tell a child, you're watching TV with this child, you tell a child, go and wash that plate. It depends on how you tell the child the thing. So if you tell the child playfully, the child can still be there watching television with you, forgetting that you actually sent this child to go and do something. And then when you shout, then you're like, oh, okay, she's angry with me, she's serious about it. So it depends on how you give the child the instruction.
And violence is always loud.
Violence is always loud.
So they always remember that.
They always remember that. So with children, parents should stop being violent on them and saying they are disciplining their children. No, discipline is different from violence, please. Discipline is different from violence. With discipline, we are not. We are trying to remove the. We are trying to refine you and bring out the best that is in you. So there is a way that you can actually sit a child down, teach this child. The same way that you send this child to school and they teach this child ABC is the same way you can also sit your child in the house and you teach this child how to be a good child, the things that are required of a child at this age, at that age. You don't necessarily need to beat a child. There are incidents where beating a child is accepted, but how far did you go with it? You can shout at a child, but how far did you go with it?
Did your mom beat you when you were little?
Of course she did.
Did your dad beat you when you were
Of
little?
course he did.
And then why? But you came out fine.
Yes, I came out fine. I actually came out fine because of God, I would say.
It's not because of the discipline they gave you.
Okay. Now in that aspect, I thought you were saying I came out fine. Like, how did I go through it and all of that? No, the discipline, of course, did help me because I learned how to survive. I grew up in a house where, it's not like we have like 3 square meals every day. We're rich, we have allowances and all of that. No, it was tough, bro. You had to trek long distances, like 2 hours to go to the farm. and then you have to work your entire day, and by 6 p.m. you are still there, you need to cross river. So it was really the original Bakoro Konsonkana you understand?
Bakoro is coming out.
I faced the hard life, and that helped me to appreciate a lot of things in life.
Yeah.
But if you've noticed, most children who grow up in wealthy families, and then the things, if these parents who are in these wealthy families do not really teach their children, they may not when growing up, they will not be able to handle certain challenges that comes with life. Nonetheless, there are still children from poor families who can still not handle situations that come with life, irrespective of their backgrounds.
I think most of them are even more violent.
Yes, most of them are violent. Most of them get into a lot of things because they feel like they need to meet up with those who are already there. Most of them feel like they need to, hustle some kind of things that are not really clean. Yes, people from poor families, but you don't always have to become bad for you to look good out there. It's not really necessary.
Okay.
So parents should teach their children the right way. They should discipline their children the right way. Being violent on a child is not discipline.
Inkman, I'm sure you have a different perspective to this.
Of course, he should.
I think she has said literally everything.
Of course not. Of course not.
She has said literally everything. The only thing I can add here is that the violence on children, or should I say against children,
Yeah.
is more of verbal violence than physical violence. Verbal violence creates a stigma in the mind of the child. Physical violence can get faded after, maybe after you trash a child. If you beat a child for committing a crime, the child can forget that you had him flogged.
Yes.
After 1 hour.
I will not.
After having a good meal.
With that kind of sharp memory, I will not.
Imagine they beat you and they go chop it 1 hour after. And they watch cartoons. Like you tend to forget everything.
Like you actually see like it was just.
Imagine.
Wait, okay, let me not cut you. Like, are we forgetting the fact because we feel like it's normal? Or are we forgetting because we have no choice? We just have to move on.
See, just keep that aside.
Let's focus on.
Let's assume we not say that. Okay, I have this neighbor. She always insults her child. Like, the least thing a child does, see her barefoot.
Oh my God.
Let's come on.
Daunting, foolish thing.
It's undaunting. Imagine that child growing up knowing that the child's mother does not believe that the child is intelligent.
Yes.
You're going to school, you know you don't have sense.
You don't have sense.
At the beginning of failure, you usually knowing that you don't have sense.
Simple.
They say you're our office. Your brother insults you, they are our office.
Yeah,
you're not doing anything at that time. But if someone else insults you, they are our office. You remember that mother insulted you.
Yes.
And you corroborate it.
I remember hating my legs.
Meaning you'll be growing up with that stigma, knowing that you're ugly, low self-esteem, and will lead to depression.
Definitely.
So people don't talk about this a lot. I think as far as gender-based violence, domestic violence is concerned. Let's not talk too much about women, men.
Yeah.
Children are unnoticed.
Children are so unnoticed.
And just like you said, they call it discipline. Discipline is a wrong word for it. Discipline is way more different from it. It's okay to discipline a child. It's okay to punish a child for a wrongful act. But what's the gravity of that discipline?
That's the problem.
What's the long-term effect of that discipline? So you have to look at the kind of discipline.
Yes.
When do you discipline a child? For what reason do you discipline a child?
How do you do it?
So parents have to put a check on all this. Take a lot of things into consideration. Then mold their children.
Yes.
Stop plunging your children into depression.
Honestly.
Why should you do that?
And you get some parents that, like, when your mom is shouting at you, you say you don't like your papa. And when your daddy shouts at you, you say you don't like your mama. So it does not only affect the child. The child starts seeing the family members in another way. Say, after all, if I don't get sense, mama, me no get sense. If I feel family.
Comfortable in that.
Yes. And if you've noticed, there are some children who run away from the house.
Yeah.
Yes, because they feel like the house does not want them. The house doesn't love them. So they now look for love outside. In different things, and at the end of the day, those things now become dangerous to them, and then you start telling the child, now first of all, some bad picking, he's stubborn, he need listen for mommy and papa. When they don't know that this child left because this child did not receive love from its own family.
And some of them will carry children who some people bring in children who are not their biological children in the house. And If you know that you're not ready to take care of a child, please
don't
bring a child in.
Don't bring a
Yes.
child in.
A child is not a maid. It is a domestic servant, and that servant is different. You don't bring in someone's child to help under the pretext of wanting to help.
Yes.
You start practicing all kinds of
Like-
insults, like you're rehearsing.
Like you save
Van
the child
Damme,
from-
become a Van Damme and a Francis Ngannou on the child. Beating the child at every count, whatever the child does, you beat.
And then you use the
Every time
child's
you insult
family.
insult the child's
Inside the child's family.
Don't bring in a child if you don't want to. Don't even adopt a child if you don't want. If you know you cannot take care of a child.
So
Don't adopt.
you save a child from slavery to turn the child to your own slave.
Just imagine from a slave to a domestic slave.
And then they give you this mentality that you are totally useless. You cannot survive life without them because they picked you from the streets, from the gutter. What are you talking about? I picked you when you had nothing. I cleaned you.
Let's end this here.
I don't want to also get emotional. This is getting deep.
I can punch somewhere.
Because we are saying I love it, but it happens every day in the society.
It's a serious thing.
As I'm talking to you right now, they are shouting at one child right now like this
You was
somewhere.
insulting this morning. I believe you was insulting.
So that's exactly how things go nowadays, which is bad, and that's the reason why we are gathered here today. Consequences.
All right.
Just talk. Don't make me call you.
Okay, so I won't talk too much on this one.
Okay. We'll find out.
There is physical harm and there's depression.
Yeah.
Okay.
Consequences of domestic violence is either you're shattered inside or you're shattered outside.
Yes.
So that's just all I can say.
Yes.
That's all. There's no other
Yes.
consequence. Those are the
If you're not
You
shattered.
just strongly agree with him.
Yeah, if you're not shattered, you're dead. So
So you have nothing else to say. Because I also have, you should have something
no,
to
he
say.
has said it because domestic violence, it leaves you marks on your body or
Or
in
your
you.
mind.
Yes. So if the marks are not there, then you should be in the grave. So that's it. People commit suicide because of depression, which is emotional, which is in their minds, which is, of course,
all that things fall under those things.
all of those things that
Because
they,
low self-esteem
is a facet of depression. Is there?
I have a question for you.
Okay.
You're a journalist.
Okay.
What have you done in your powers to help a situation like this?
Well, I
Be
didn't.
honest.
Okay. So, as I mentioned, I do work with Beyond 2TV7 Borders.
Okay.
We are a group of people that have come up to refine the perspective of journalism in Africa and beyond the world, beyond Africa rather. So, our approaches to domestic violence is such that we try to, especially when we come across incidents of it, like we have the opportunity to not just hear, but be able to be there. Yeah, we do meet these individuals. We try to talk to them in our own little way that we can. And then if it's an issue that needs some sort of assistance, then we can reach out a hand to them. But nonetheless, we also do spreading information on we have a Facebook page, Beyond 227 Borders, where we also post information there, which are very educative. So if you want to know more about it, you can always check on us on Facebook. We have a YouTube channel. And of course, as we grow, you are going to be getting a whole lot of information that has to do with topics like this.
And I'll drop a link to the site.
Yeah.
So you go check out the comment sections, the description sections. I'll make sure it is there and you check it out. Inkman.
As a poet.
As a poet.
Let me stop you from asking me. As a poet.
Yes. What have you done?
Okay, as a very, very fine poet.
Yes, a very, very fine poet.
As a very prolific poet.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
As a very regular poet.
Ah.
Okay, let's keep that aside. Let's keep. Okay, as a poet, I write a lot. There's one thing. There's power in writing and publishing. I've written so many poems on this, and I've published few. I'm not just a poet. I'm a performer. So I've performed some poems on domestic violence with the Royalty Foundation. The Royalty Foundation has had shows and they have invited Stagelife. I've performed under the canopy of Stagelife, and we have discovered they mostly have events on gender-based violence, domestic violence, and stuff like that. So I've dished out performances with them, and I always write poems on this. So if you want to find some of these works, you can go to my Facebook page, Poet Noa Inkman. YouTube, Poet Noa Inkman, Instagram, Poet Noa Inkman, everywhere. Momo, Poet Noa Inkman. So everywhere, I write a lot. I think writing has this ability to convey a lot within a very short time.
Yeah.
An ordinary reader or a normally per reader on Facebook, we just go and see a very short piece, 5 lines talking about domestic violence, and you implant a lot. So that's my own way of fighting it, of limiting it, of amplifying the whole topic.
Oh, they've said it all. See you after the break. What's the way forward?
Yes, go with the lady.
No, I'll go with the man this time. The last time you spoke, you said she took some of your ideas.
Okay, yes.
I wouldn't mind though. I wouldn't mind if she does that again.
No, that's not the truth this time.
The way forward, changing the narrative. I think the way forward is having more people talk about this. Killing the stigma.
Yeah.
Killing the stigma, curbing the whole stereotype and everything. The way forward is preaching equality. Preaching equality. It's not equality as in equality per se. There is equal among equals. There is equality amongst equals. And there is another equality, which is among people are not equals. Yes. So we have to preach the whole concept of equality. We need, I think there's something that we don't incorporate in our affairs. We need counselors. We need counselors. We need people. We need a security, no security. We need the justice system in charge of domestic violence. A very stiff justice system. Maybe in the family. We need people who will be following up. Not just like a police.
Yeah.
We need police who will be following up
Families.
affairs that are going up in the family, so that any trace of domestic violence, they can treat it from the base. Because once you let it amplify, that's where the problem comes. If you can treat it from the base, then I think it'll be good. Even at work, at every workplace, always station somebody there. Let us still make available. Someone will be like a work police.
Yes.
That person will oversee their affairs, not like oversee though. The person will inspect. So that any trace of that, they can handle it. I think that's a basic, that's a way we can handle it. That's a way we can solve this. I think that's a way forward. We cannot be talking about the way forward without putting any modalities in place. I think we need to reenact the laws. I know normally there are laws out there which punish domestic violence. But how effective are those laws? How are those laws being amplified?
For the one thing about him you don't know, he's a law student. He was a law student, and
I was not. Okay, I'm a master's student
in law.
In law.
Yes. So if it comes to issues like this, he's one of the persons you should talk about. So any law now let's just throw this out since that came out. Any law that has been set for matters like this.
Okay. Domestic violence. I will not speak. I'm not an authority in the area of practice. I'm not an authority in the area of practice. But I know there is, in terms of marriage, they will have this Matrimonial Causes Act. I cannot state precisely if there is any law which says that if you slap your wife, you get this. Yeah. But I know that with the Matrimonial Causes Act covers the marital home, man and woman. These are laws that have to do with marriage and everything. Even the penal code holds that. And that's why I said I'm not an authority in the area of practice, so I'll not be stating precisely where you can get the law. The penal code has a section which punishes the whole act of domestic violence. The question is, how often do you see matters in court on the whole issue of domestic violence? How often do you see judges put so much importance to this? How often do you see people pay lawyers, attorneys, to defend issues of domestic violence? They don't do that because they feel like it's a mirage, it's just like a sham. And no matter what they do, they will not get any results. You spend so much money on a case, and at the end of the day, you don't get justice.
We'll come to you, but still on him. Is that really, is it really the law the law system which is the problem, or is it the individual themselves? Because we get people now, people are, I don't know if, should I say, afraid because they feel like it's the normal thing. It's a normal thing for your husband to shout at you. It's a normal thing for your wife to knock at you. It's a normal thing for people to hit each other.
Yeah.
It's normal. So is it the law that is the problem, or the individuals themselves?
Okay, thank you for this very important question. I think it's bifaceted. Bifaceted means two-sided. Means the individual and the law. The law is so cumbersome that it makes it imprecise. The law is not precise enough. So many people don't have access to the law because it's too thick. It's thick. You go to a law book where it has an article, this sub one. There are so many articles.
People don't like
People don't
reading
even pay attention to looking keenly to know if there is something that can protect them. People don't know the amount of protection accorded to them out there. Why should the law be that cumbersome? Why can't the law be precise? Why can't it not be available to everyone? There are some laws that you cannot even trace. There are some laws that you know only know there's an electoral law here when you want to go in for elections. That let them always preach about these laws. Go on air, tell people about the available legislation. Let them know the available protection. Let them not be victims of this. And then the society too. I think the state has played its own role, but I think they see that still so tied to that stereotype. Like they know that no, this is like this. When they were growing up, there was this chauvinism, there was this.
That's
so they become accustomed to suffering. They have become so accustomed to suffering that they see suffering as a normalcy.
As a way of life.
So even when they are being violated or when they are being discriminated upon, they don't see any need, any use confessing or telling someone out there that this is what's happening. Or complaining to someone. They don't do it because they know that, okay, maybe we are born to suffer. We have been in this, we've been here for a long time, so what's the need? And they also feel that if they do it, they will not get any results. So you want to blame them, you not to blame them. You want to blame the government, you not to blame the government. So it's a bifaceted thing. Yeah.
All right, let's hear from the lady.
Well, the way forward, how to put an end to domestic violence. Actually, I think we need to be intentional about the kind of information that we pass across, because many people feel like there's this statement I heard from a wise man some time ago. He was like, you don't need to hate people. If you are in a house and you do not like the fact that this person does not use a certain thing the way it is supposed to be used, remove your eyes from this person and do it for yourself. So in the course of doing it for yourself, you're doing it for the entire house.
Yeah.
So now, stopping domestic violence, you cannot say you're going to every single house in the entire world to tell every single parent or every person that you meet that they should stop practicing this thing because it is bad. It is impossible. There is just no possibility that you can walk to one place to another. So we need to do some sort of arrangement where we can come. Sorry, I'll just continue.
Yeah, you just continue.
So we need to actually gather ourselves, look for the channels that can propagate this information, and we need to know the kind of information that we are passing across to whosoever. Like what he was saying, he said so many people do not have access to these laws. So these people who do not have access to this information, how do we communicate with them? Stopping it is basically communication, and your communication should be you should be able to align with the people's mind, their social standards, their level of understanding, so that they can understand it. Because there are some societies where these men behave the way they do, and they just need somebody to talk to them so that they can actually realize the long-term effects of this thing. Because even if you look at a child, right? Even if you look at a child or you look at an adult who cannot speak up to his friend that my wife is maltreating me, it did not just start from there. It started from when he was a child. So what he faced from when he was a child is what is making him not able to speak out.
Can I interject?
Yes.
Okay, when she was talking about the issue of communication, she said it's not just communication. Communication goes from different levels.
Yeah.
There are people who understand just speaking. There's a layman out there who does not understand English.
Yeah.
Okay, why not change these laws? Why not make these laws available in Pidgin?
That's what we're
laws
trying.
available in a native language. I
Yes,
think that's what she's trying to
what I'm
establish.
trying to
And
establish.
it's a very important thing.
Yes.
If the state can try to make these laws available in all languages,
Yes.
make them available to a layman. Make them available to countryman. Make
person
even
even-
their dialects, let
make person
everybody
even-
know
all
that
man people
language.
Yes, because
you put
yes.
those laws in big grammar, big book. Few of us will understand.
Yes.
But what about the woman in the village? We should know this.
Yes,
Ah.
because to be honest, right? When I was studying, I did journalism in school, and we came across this a theory that we studied, the two-step flow theory. Basically, we're looking at the authority of the media and the people's response. So in the two-step flow theory, we're basically saying that information flows from this party, from the media, then it reaches a middleman who now transmits it to the audience. So there is this person who explains what this information is. So in as much as this person may want to know the law, he cannot understand it because why? He cannot understand the language. So like what you were saying, if we can make this law in this language, in that language, you realize that the people will feel like, okay, it is actually our thing.
Yes.
Like these people have us at heart. You understand? So I can see the law. I've come across it many times, but I just don't read it because I don't feel like, why should I be? You understand? People have a mindset when it comes to reading. They feel like reading is boring. So present this thing to them in a language that they can understand.
Or in ways
I feel
In ways
like,
that they can understand.
just to add to what you guys have said, putting it in the language they can understand. Sometimes it's all about reading. Even if you put it in a language they understand. So I feel like we should not only put it in writing.
No, not just in writing.
We should be there. It should be there in the media.
Also
We have
visual.
state media.
We should do audio
Also,
visuals.
yeah.
Yes,
We
you
should-
can-
It should be out there in all forms
Like,
possible.
okay, like you cannot compare a person in the village and a person in the city.
Yeah.
So what you do is you send a group of people, and they go to this village and preach about these things. You meet the chief. The chief gathers his people, because when you have the chief, you have the people.
Yeah.
The chief can gather his people and he said, okay, let us listen to these people. Look for somebody who is an elite in that community and talk to them. At the end of the day, we just need to have these people's minds to know that this is a situation. This is how you can handle situations like these. Because there are people that no matter how you talk to them, they will just not change.
Yeah.
And even this orthodox, there's this
Yes.
this orthodox way of reading GC results. It's on
Yes,
they want
yes.
the for regional.
Yes.
Yes.
Like you can do it there. Okay. How about if you can proclaim results via
Radio.
a radio media, like
Yes,
radio.
yes.
Why can't you put the laws that way? Like make a program, put a slot.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
every Tuesday,
It has an
you have
episode.
someone who will be reading the articles, explain the articles.
Exactly.
I think that can be a start.
And it should
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
it should also reach these people who are differently abled, those who cannot see,
Yeah.
those who cannot hear, those who cannot talk. The laws should also be communicated to them in the ways which they understand it, so that they can reach out.
That's true.
Yes, they can reach out, because it is actually not good that depression has killed many people more than we know. Because why would a living, breathing human being think of committing suicide? Why would a normal person just wake up one day and before you know it, they're drinking, they're smoking? People don't just get into things because they want to.
Yeah.
Even if you look at these people who they drink, if you talk to them deeply, you realize that they actually do not like the condition that they are in, but they just cannot help what they are going through. They don't have somebody to talk to, somebody to rely on. And many times people don't talk because they feel like, tomorrow if I tell you Martina, you go talk about all
You go
man.
amplify it.
You go
Viral.
They think of their image as well.
Yeah.
As poor as they could be, they think of their image. That is the only thing that keeps them going, that they don't like they can hold on to. So if we say that amplifying these laws is the way forward to putting an end to domestic violence, then we need to ensure that we do it in every way possible. If we need to use farming to explain to farmers that they need to speak up or they need to reach out, then let us use farming. If we need to use the gospel, then let us use it. If we need to use sign languages, if we need to print t-shirts, in journalism, there's this thing, when you constantly repeat an information, the audience, they consider that information to be very important and they pay attention to it. Whether or not they are following it at that point in time, it is in their mind that this thing is important. It's just that when COVID-19 started, Many people did not like wearing face masks, but they were very conscious that something like this exists. So even if I am not reading the laws, you have already communicated it to me, so it stays in my mind. When I come across it, I know how to find my way out.
All right, guys, this is the end of it. It was a wonderful time with you guys. I appreciate you for coming. For me personally, I feel like we should train our younger generation. We should start from there. That is where we can start from, because I believe they are the bosses, they are the fathers, they are the mothers of tomorrow, and they are the future, like is rightly said. So we should make sure we train the children for tomorrow, prepare them. This is our generation, sometimes, I used to say, has already been corrupt. Some minds cannot be changed. We are hoping that you change your mind, but some minds cannot be changed. For those who can change, please, so change. It's for the good for all of us. Change. It was a beautiful show. Thank you for watching. Please do well to tell us in the comment section what you think about the show. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. We'll catch you.